Crazy Crafter Livestream. My name is Colin Bressie. I am the Crazy Crafter, and I am joined as always by my dear friends Michael Patterson from Nat One Videos and Zane Morgan from Zane Morgan Crafts. Hello,
Hey.
hellos. Good to have the group back together again. And we are joined this week by our special guest, Denny from N-Scale Dystopia. Denny, welcome to the stream, brother.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's good to have you, man. Michael and Zane, how are you two doing? Michael, you just got back from a trip. How was your trip, buddy?
It was really nice. Back in Ireland, just chilling with family, and I mean, it was just me, Lucy, my little girl, and my mum and dad, and 10 days. It was awesome.
Nice.
We also we did set the chimney on fire. That was exciting. You know, had the fire department out. That was great. So
I mean, as long as the as long as the fire was put out and no one was hurt, which I believe, you know, that's the case, but that's not exactly textbook Christmas. I mean, it's textbook Chevy Chase's Christmas Vacation. That's what that's textbook.
Textbook Boxing Day.
Guess you couldn't sing "We Didn't Start the Fire" then.
Yeah, you can't sing that. You guys definitely.
I had to sing it because my parents did blame me. They're like, you know,
they're like, oh, Michael coming home, starting up fires again like he always does.
Exactly.
Well,
Damn, he went in with the accent.
I did. You have to.
Any chance you get.
We're very glad to have you back. We're very glad you and your family had an awesome trip and that you didn't burn the house down entirely. Good job. Zane, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I'm stressed, but I'm here.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I got too much shit going on in my life. I'm too much of a yes man. I say yes without actually considering that I actually have to follow through with things. So
I see. Well, yeah. That's all right. You can be let the next couple hours not be stressful, and we'll hang out and craft. Denny, how are you, my friend? Happy New Year to you, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm very well. My daughter's home from college, so I get to see someone that I haven't seen for a couple months.
Awesome.
Which is very nice.
Awesome.
And it was I would say it was a better year this past Christmas than the previous year because we were on pretty heavy clamp last year, so I finally got to see some people this year. So it's been an excellent holiday. That said, I went to bed at 9:30 last night because screw it, I am not giving 2021 any celebration. Fuck you. I am not going to celebrate you leaving. And you took Betty White.
I was just going to say they took Betty White from us.
I read a thing. This is for Zane, and I'm sorry, real quick.
No, you're good.
Basically, someone had said that Betty White did not die. Betty White grabbed 2021 by the throat and dragged it into hell with it. So
I love that.
I do too.
I just see her going.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. R.I.P. Betty White, you absolute fucking legend. One of my all-time favorites. One of my all-time favorites. Well, I too went to bed early last night. I was in bed, and then midnight people started shooting off fireworks around here, and I was like, "What the hell is going?" It sounded like artillery fire from like the National Guard was happening, and I was like, "Why are we attacking right now? Like, what's going on?" Another one of my high school buddies. She posted a thing. She's got 3 kids, and she was just like, "All right, everyone over the age of 34, make sure you get your nap in if you want to make it to midnight." And I was like, "That's accurate. That's accurate. Need that nap." Well, Happy New Year to all of you out there, film family. We're very excited that all of you are joining us here today. We've got some wonderful folks that have joined us out there in the stream. Richard Smith is out there. Robert Evans. Cross from Campaign Terrain, Tina Martins is out there. Lisa Dungeon Matron is in the house. Laura Elstad is there, as well as other folks lurking around. Denny paints things. It's not Denny. Is it Danny? I just watched his video before we came out here too.
Yeah, I think it was his first video today.
It's Dan. I think it's Danny. Am I saying that right? Oh my gosh, I'm in Denny mode because Denny is here on the stream with us.
I'll just check for you.
Yeah,
I don't know this person.
New channel just released today about setting up. He set up his hobby space and kind of checking in about where he's at with the hobby. It looks like a great channel. I haven't had a chance to.
Dean.
Is it Dean? Oh, it might. I think it is Dean. It is Dean. Dean paints
Yeah.
things. Dean.
We got D on the brain.
We got Dean. I see what you did there. And it's true. We do have D on the brain. Anyway, Dean, welcome to the rabbit hole that is YouTube. Congrats on
Welcome to
posting
YouTube.
Congrats on posting your first video. I'll take a look at it and I'll send you. I know you sent me a message asking for some thoughts on it and whatnot. It's a great video. I'll send you some other stuff here a little bit later. Elston from Elston Nation has joined the stream. Welcome, my friend. Do you have any money left to pay for the internet bill? After
That pile of
hobby
anything
haul?
he bought. Unbelievable.
Okay.
Oh, I'll have to send you guys Zane and Elston. You have to put a picture in the Crazy Crafter Discord. Put it up in the Discord so we can see, we can share with the world what your hobby haul was today. That must have been an absolute joy for you. I'm so glad. Congratulations on your year of not purchasing.
Oh, he broke the seal.
He broke the seal. He definitely broke the seal today. So
It's kind of reminiscent of an alcoholic who hasn't drank for ages, and then they don't just have like one little sip, like, you know, like I'll have one drink tonight. It's like,
Damn.
Yep. Oh my gosh.
But did you get the Heroes cookbook? That's my question to you, Elston.
Oh, did you get?
I told him to get the D&D cookbook.
Yep. Get that D&D cookbook. It's good. The hand pies in there are quite excellent. We got Stefano from Chimera Wargaming's in the house. Welcome, Stefano. Recently I think just hit 100,000. Was it 100,000 views on YouTube? Something shared a milestone recently. Congratulations, ringing in 2021 and sending it off very strong. Thank you all for joining the stream today. But enough yakking and whacking about that. Denny, let's dive in and chat a little bit about. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the hobby, and what it is specifically that you've been focusing on within the hobby.
Okay. So, I mean, real fast. I mean, so I'm kind of an everything person. So yes, I play with model railroads. So I'm a train guy, but I'm a really bad train guy. I'm sort of just like a lot of different things. And so I think like
constitutes bad train guy? Why are you a bad train guy?
Well, the only part I like is them going around in a circle. I'm not really concerned about the rest of it.
Okay.
It's just, I mean, it's a starting point. And so basically I had trains when I was a kid. I had a couple false starts at making stuff when I was, you know, in my late 20s and early 30s. And then I sort of just put it aside. It can be a fairly expensive hobby. And I kind of was just interested in it.
Okay.
And for better or for worse, when the pandemic started, I am very grateful that I work at a place that sent me home for 18 months. I got to work from home. I was saving an hour and a half of driving a day.
Oh, wow.
And like, I was just pacing with nothing to do. And I said, well, let's get back into this. And I jumped on Instagram and I thought, okay, well, I'll make a train layout. And then, to be honest, there was a community that I discovered, which was all the tabletop crafters. It was the war gamers. It was the military guys. Like, there was a diorama makers. And I was like, this is way more up my alley.
Yep.
And so I just started saying, well, since no one's going to come over and see anything, I'll just do what I want. And so I just started doing whatever I wanted, and it's gone pretty well. And I've had quite a bit of fun with it. In terms of background, I have an art degree like Zane, and I'm gainfully employed, which makes me one of the few.
Yes, unfortunately, right? Artists go train your ass off to maybe seek employment one day.
Right.
I know that feeling all too well.
And so, you know, that's basically been it. And part of the hobby for the past year for me was the idea about getting interested in posting YouTube videos. And I saw that as being the last part of the hobby. So making stuff in isolation was interesting, but then trying to take the time, sort of like the same way a gallery exhibition would work, to create something and say, I made a thing. So Instagram's cool, but YouTube was also a new set of skill sets to do video editing and learn how to do storytelling. And, you know, it's another hobby, like 3D printing.
100%. And I think Dean, as you put down there in the chat, you'll discover that, and I'm sure he already knows. Like it's definitely, like you said, a new skill set. I, by the way, love the style of your style of your YouTube videos, man. There are some things where I watch to, like, there's some things where I'm like I'll watch different content for different things. Well, also, I don't really skim. I don't skim, Zane. I watch the video because I think, like, I'm just like that completionist when it comes to
purist.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a purist thing, but I appreciate I want to see the story, like what's the beginning, middle, and end, and how it's crafted, because like Denny said, that is part of the art form and how to tell that story, and that's important to me. And I think for me, when I watch in-scale Dystopia videos, Denny, they are part Zen, but part tutorial for me too, because I'm learning and picking up new techniques and getting inspiration and ideas. And I love the fact that it's just beautifully shot. It looks great, and I love the music and the sound and the story that you tell. And there's the personality that comes through without having voiceover, and I don't know if I have the courage to do that in a YouTube video if I were to release something with just that style. And I really appreciate that effort that goes into your videos on your channel.
I appreciate that. I think it comes from a place of trying to emulate the things I like. So like 28 Days Later, Hackers, like Blade Runner, like these are the things that I like. I like those sort of films that I like that genre. It's like, well, I'd like to I'm certainly not emulating those, but it's things that I like. So it comes down to, I wouldn't call it a deeply personal video series, but it's like, if you got me something for Christmas that was in my video, you would know exactly who I am. So you're like, here, I got you a copy of Blade Runner, like right on, right? Like you got me a zombie mask, right on. So like it's exactly what I'm sort of interested in. One of the things I'm not interested in, because we were just talking about this off camera, is I'm not interested in, let's say, narrating or putting my voice up there. Not that I'm shy.
Right.
It's just kind of like, God, I wouldn't be able to live with myself because I'm like, I wasn't clever there. Like I would keep going back and like, no, I sound dumb.
I hate watching my old videos.
It's good. It's good to see the growth. They're from where you started to where you are. Like that's the hope, right? It changes and it grows. Like. And also, by the way, Zane, you started at a whole new level. I know Michael and I were like, "What? How is this like his first few videos?" Like, I was like insanely jealous. I was like, "Man, he picked it up so quick." It's great though, but it changes and it evolves, and it should change and it should evolve.
It definitely changes.
That's the goal, right? If you go back and you look at early Nat One Videos content versus now, it's changed, right? Now he's Aikido rolling in a Santa suit. So you too can change and evolve. Michael, what do you think? You're reading something there. What are you reading?
No, it was you'd said to Tina that Michael posted the link above. I've posted N-Scale Dystopia. I think Tina was asking, Robert was asking about Dean, so I've just put the link
channel.
as well.
Copy that. My bad. Sorry, Robert. Yeah, we'll get Dean's link to his channel up there, and if you are not subscribed, head on over and subscribe. Show Dean some love, and show Denny some love too. You can. We'll say this many times, but I know the link to N-Scale Dystopia on YouTube has been posted in the chat in there, but you can follow him over on Instagram at Model Railroader, and follow him on both accounts. It's one of my favorite Instagrams to look at. I think, Zane, you introduced me to
I absolutely introduced all of y'all to Denny.
Yeah. Zane's responsible for Denny coming on this stream and connecting us. And I remember getting familiar with... So I think it was when I first judged the encounter terrain and you made that slide. And I was just like, that is the coolest freaking diorama build I've ever seen, and I absolutely fell in love with I was like, it's got this like post-apocalyptic feel that I've never seen in Model Railroad. I was like, this is dope. And then at that time, like Zane was like, yeah, that's Denny, dude. We need to get Denny on the stream. You need to check his stuff out. So good job, Zane, because
Yeah.
it's what a thrill and a joy to connect with Denny and all of your work. So Denny, tell us a little bit about. We've got a little bit of your background, but tell us a little bit about for those of us that aren't model railroaders, and I definitely had to Google all of this because I was like, what does N scale mean? Like, I don't understand. Right. So tell us a little bit about the different scales within the model railroader community to give people an idea of what scale you like to work at.
Okay, so just real quickly then, the scale that I work at is called N scale, which is 1 to 160 is the scale.
Yep.
Practically speaking, that means 2 millimeters to the foot, which then I think for tabletop is a 10 millimeter mini, right? So there's a 28 millimeter mini, and then a 10 millimeter mini is equivalent to N scale.
Yep.
And it is the second most popular scale for model railroading, and the reason it's popular is because of its size. You can put an awful lot of stuff, like that's like my Metropolis, and it's 6 feet wide. Right?
That's so wild. Is there any way at some point in the stream, Denny, to get closer and look at that thing, or is
not
it
like the cords off of the laptop are like clotheslines off the back of this right now.
Copy that.
So I'll work something out.
You know what'll be good?
But
you joined
if you watch his videos,
there's that.
You see it up close.
Watch Denny's videos, and also I'm sure if we ask super nicely, well, also you can find it all on his Instagram as well. But Denny might be able to post a few photos later in the disc.
Yeah, I'm overdue for that one. People have been asking, like, that's great that you make some stuff. Can we see all of it in your glory? So, yeah. So, the tabletop community, the 28 millimeter figurines would be what we would consider, I think, S gauge, which is a very unpopular model railroading size. But it's a scale. So for model railroaders, there's, I think, something about 8 different scales. So right down to something called T, where the train is probably about 1 inch long. They're motorized. All the way up to what we call G or garden scale, where the locomotives, you can effectively ride them.
Right.
And so there's fanatics, wild eye fanatics, all the way across that scale.
Wow.
And so I'd been in an apartment at one point, and so I said, well, I like to do trains, and so I got the small ones. Small doesn't make cheaper. So I would not recommend this hobby to anyone who's got a really fixed budget.
Yeah, it's always something. There was a little hobby shack that I used to go with my dad to when I was a kid, and we would get all the Star Wars models, any of the World War II planes that we built when I was a kid, and this was the place we went. And I always loved going because I got to see all of the dioramas that they had built in the store from the model trains and the railroads. And it always blew my mind. And they didn't have garden scale, but there was one that they had rigged up, and it was like rocky terrain with like tree overhang that was large. It was a larger scale model, but it ran around the entire perimeter around the roof of the hobby shop. So they had a lot of different it was really cool looking back after connecting with you. I was like, oh, so they were showing off the different display pieces and the different scales that you could go to. But that was I remember just looking at all the detail within the terrain. If I had to guess, the largest one they had there was probably the N scale, kind of equating it to your setup, and it was. I don't know, man. Like I always, it just blows my mind the amount of detail that gets put into those model railroads. It's amazing. And I can't imagine like there's also the maintenance. Like, do you have to is it high maintenance for the locomotives as well to like maintain them, to keep them running?
Yeah, it is, which is why I'm bad at trains, because I basically, as long as they're running in a loop, like I'm like good to go.
Like, yay!
Yeah. I think one of the other things that probably is worth mentioning is that it is an expensive hobby. And so it's part of the reason I wasn't doing it until I got a 3D printer, which easily paid for itself in the first 2 weeks. Like the stuff, like, because you can order a kit from Europe that'll cost you $32 for something this big with $32 in shipping. Like it's depressing how expensive the hobby can be.
Right.
And much in the same way that I've seen that resin printers and minis and like free rule sets so that you can get an entire tabletop community built with effectively none money, so long as one of your friends has a resin printer, is phenomenal.
Yep.
And so this, even though this is rather primitive by the resin standards, because it's an FDM printer, has just made everything so affordable that suddenly the hobby's enjoyable again.
Yep.
It also, even though 3D printing's not crafting, right?
It is.
It sure is. It sure is. I think it is.
Joe Levine says otherwise, but it is.
Joe emphatically says otherwise. I think what is great about it is that it at least creates the mortar between the building blocks that you can do something that you want, right? Like it's a real equalizer. So that's where a lot of it came back in. I mean, I did a thing with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I can't sculpt that, but I could download it for $2. Like, okay, like I'm okay.
But
with
you
that.
do sculpting yourself sometimes, right?
Yeah, and you did
So
some for that Stay Puft, I think, as well. You modified him, I think.
Yeah. So, I have a bit of a background in 3D, but only sort of architecturally. So making non-organic things is fairly straightforward, right? Thank you, Zane. Sculpting some like crazy figurine in an action pose is like, those people deserve to be credited for doing some amazing stuff. And when people download figs like, well, this one's shit, it's like, dude, like it's so hard to get something that good. So Blender does have a great thing, which is rigging. So you can take someone else's model, put a bone structure and repose it.
Yep.
So you can make it your own. Yeah. Yeah. You designed that, did you not, Zane?
Yep.
Yeah, the Gorgon looking
first
thing.
one.
Tentacles.
Tentacles.
It's the second organic thing besides the pumpkins that you've designed, right, bud?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't you do some tiki torches for somebody?
For Colin, yeah.
Yeah.
But that I wouldn't consider organic because I just put a subdivision modifier on a cylinder.
Warpied it.
Yeah, he's you needed your glasses there, Zane. Like, I put a subdivision modifier on the tiki torches. No big deal.
I understood what you meant.
No, I know. You two speak. We have a resident like
we get along because of the stuff. I mean, not only because of that, but
you guys, it's awesome to hear you guys throw the jargon back and forth. I'm like, I tried to make columns once. That's not true. We also tried to play around with. You talk about the bone structure. The bone structure feature that you're talking about in Blender is something Zane was trying to help me modify minis for the Princess Bride diorama I did almost a year ago now. Like, we were trying to figure out a way to change and alter the Hero Forge minis that I had to try to get a better pose with it, and it was like I was learning quickly. I was like, I'm just gonna have to build swords or get it as close as I can to get what I want, essentially. So,
well, I mean, an adjunct to this hobby, you saying that is that, so I've been, I sort of got introduced to one-page rules, and I've been looking at, some skirmish play stuff, and so I've been working on downloading some cool, like a cool character from Thingiverse or any of those places, and then reworking its pose to create a small 250-point army. Like, this is something I'm trying to figure out. And then secondly, seeing how good a mini I can make on an FDM printer, because they've already been sort of dismissed as a printer that's good for any of that, but I've been able to push it pretty far, and like good enough for who it's for, kind of thing, right? Like, I'm not too concerned about pleasing everyone, but it's good enough.
Right.
I mean, you impressed me with the Five Nights at Freddy's guys that you printed.
Oh yeah.
Especially seeing like how small they are. Like, yeah, you're gonna get lines. That's an FDM.
Right. Yeah.
And you can't really buff them out that small. So,
right.
But the detail that you got in that scale on an FDM, I was like,
right, way better than what I could do by hand. Right. Like, I can't.
And I mean, it works for your dystopian theme anyways, because they look beaten down and they've been waiting for someone.
It also has to do with viewing distance, and I think that's interesting. So I've had a difficult time understanding, and I said this to Colin yesterday, how big a mini is. So I hear 28 millimeters, and then so I had to research, I'm like, so that's like to the eye level, right? Okay, good. And then I'm seeing people painting a mini that looks like a brick. And I'm like, they must have zoomed out on it. It's like, no, it's 7 inches tall, but it's a Goliath. I'm like, okay, now I understand. So I'm still trying to get this sorted, but with the railroad thing, you never get within an arm's length. Like it's meant to be viewed from afar. So you can sort of glaze over some details because you're taking it in. But I think the scrutiny on the games is pretty heavy because, I mean, people are right in there.
Yeah.
All your sins show up.
It really depends who you play with. I mean, if you're taking it to a competition, yeah, obviously people are going to be more like, oh, well, that looks like shit. But like if it's you bring it out to your table to play, people are like, oh man, you made this sick.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, right?
I feel like it gets particular within the Warhammer community when it comes to the way your minis are painted, because there's a standard too that needs to be adhered to with your minis and like how you prepare them and get them quote unquote tabletop ready. But I agree. Right. Like it depends on where you're playing and who you're playing with. But I absolutely am. You know, it's so awesome to discover. Like there's so many different variations of the hobby of people, from model railroaders to wargaming, tabletop terrain, to like I believe her handle on Instagram is Black Billy Lee. I want to get her on the stream. Like all of her miniature. Zane, are you familiar with Zane and Michael? You guys familiar? Oh my gosh, she does miniature. Like her whole thing is like she's the like Oak Hill Studios, but tiny, like miniature Halloween stuff, and it's gorgeous. It's so cool, but it's all clay. And I'm like, she's doing shingle work, Zane, at the like like below the 10, like way below the 10 millimeter scale. Like it's wild to me. If you're just tuning in here to the Crazy Crafter live stream today, we've got Denny from N-Scale Dystopia, who's our featured guest today, joining us on the stream, talking to us a little bit about his passion, his hobby, and where it's taken him today. Talking a little bit about a different scale today, working in the N-Scale realm of things within model railroading. And Denny, I want you to talk a little bit about. Let's segue a little bit into today. Oh, by the way, this is terrible. I queued this up and everything. If you have not done so, please make sure that you subscribe and turn on the bell notification for all the amazing folks on the stream today. First and foremost, Denny, our featured guest, Zane from Zane Morgan Crafts, and also Michael from Nat One Videos. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the Crazy Crafter, you should do so as well. But Denny, talk to us a little bit about your aesthetic with this dystopia. Like, where did that come from? Where did this like kind of crumbling city inspiration come from?
I mean, I think maybe we mentioned earlier. I mean, some of the movies that I like are these sort of desolate end of world sort of things, and so I like that particular modeling aesthetic. I mean, even in the fantasy realms, I mean, you know, like even within Lord of the Rings, there are huge expanses of nobody except some weirdo on a hill, right? And so, like, I find that entire thing really interesting. And so, one of the things that I mean, maybe this makes sense, but with a model railroad, if you build a big city, there's got to be 10,000 people in it. Well, to fuse a bunch of people to the ground in a static pose waving is kind of dumb, right? Like, so it's frozen.
Like the Sims.
Like, well, exactly. So it was like, well, let's get rid of all of that and just have none people, except for like Snowpiercer's a pretty cool movie. So like the only thing running is the train going around the world all the time, because that's only living people. So that's where that sort of came into. And then the kind of the crappy aesthetic hides a lot of modeling flaws. You make a bad scene, throw some vines on it. People think you're an artisan, like it, right? Like you can fix a lot of sins with some vines.
Yeah. It was meant to be that way. Nature.
I love it. Well, that's something that I know we were excited to have you come on and share a little bit about your technique and how you go about while it can hide your sins, as you're saying, it's not all covering up your sins. A lot of it is some really there's some meticulous thought that goes into it, and there's some cool
that's what we tell ourselves, Colin.
Okay, well, I also am just blown away, like, at the level of detail. One of my favorite builds that you've done, Denny, is the tripod from War of the Worlds, where you kit bash that thing together. Yeah, where is that? That's got to be somewhere. Bring that tripod out. God, that thing is dope. Look at this, guys. If you have not seen this video, there's so basically everything that I kind of wanted Denny to talk about and share about with this style and what he does to create this structure is here in this model. So, Denny, talk to us a little bit about. Say again. What were you saying?
Martin would love that.
Yeah, Martin would lose his mind. He'll lose his mind when he gets to Martin. When you get to the stream and you check it out, you're gonna have to immediately go over to Denny's channel, subscribe to him, and watch this video. He loves making monsters, and he's been on the stream before, and he's sculpted and made monsters before. So he's gonna absolutely get tickled when he gets his hands on that video.
That War of the Worlds model though was chef's kiss. Like
it was a fun model, and
that was
a happy a Windex bottle was able to turn into a tripod.
That was just it.
That was 10 by 10, right?
That was 10 by 10.
Yeah, it's a 10 by 10 one. I think I want you to share a little bit about how you go about creating some of those elements for your ruined dystopian look.
Yeah. So one of the things that I would go backwards and sort of point out is that what's been interesting to me was as I've got better into like understanding the communities that you guys, I would say, represent, there are very different modeling approaches to doing the same thing across the hobbies. And it is sort of like, and there's some really good ideas that in other areas, I'm like, oh, why don't the train guys ever do that? Because that seems super smart. And then there's other things. It's like, you guys do things a little differently. And so I was thinking about what you were saying. And so what I thought I would do today is, as we sort of babble along, is go over sort of building destroyed piers, sort of a broken up landform, and then sort of a destroyed building in a certain sort of.
Love it.
Right. And so what I did was, like any good chef, I prepared everything before. Like I finished versions yesterday, but I'll fake that we build it today and then like pop it in the oven, like all done. So, and so one of the things that I had done early, when I started putting this together, was I needed some elevated highways, and I had put these destroyed piers, these highway piers, and they're actually fairly straightforward. And I thought, well, I could put one together with you and just talk about some of this. We can't finish because paint dries at the speed that paint dries, and I'm not about to fire up the hairdryer.
Shots fired! Shots fired! He's gone. He left.
And one of the things I just wanted to do is I got some decent photos of these. If you want me to throw them in the Discord while we're talking, and just quickly, where do you want me to throw them? To the regular chat?
Yeah, put them in the share your work, because if it's photos, it could be work in progress, whatever you want. Like put them in the share your work. That'll be perfect.
Okay.
And
I was looking for the hairdryer. I couldn't find it.
Mine is over there. Where's the share your work thing?
When I looked at the War of the Worlds one there, I realized that I'm way, way, way off scale.
Oh yeah, I didn't even try to go into that scale today. I'm trying to build something for my table. I was like, I want to build something for the tabletop. I got really excited. I know I tease Michael for always wanting to build stuff ahead of time, but I got really excited to try a bunch of new stuff. So I wanted to build my ruin structure, and I was drinking whiskey and hanging out with a couple of buddies last night. So I was crafting too. Well, anyway, your scale.
It's not cheating anymore, then, is it?
It's not. It's never cheating. It's never cheating. It's just enthusiasm for a build is what it is. That's what we're gonna call it.
Funny how the rules change once it happens to the show host. No.
Listen. look at Zane.
Adapting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, your camera went all cattywampus on you there. You got blurry. That's all right.
Oh well.
Oh, cool shirt, Michael.
Yeah, good shirt. That is a sassy shirt. All right. So Denny, tell us a little bit about how we go about how do you put the bait, like where do you start with
so with these particular little things, and I did throw a thing in the Discord. This is nothing more than a bit of foam dowels and some foam core and and a bit of window mesh. So I put stuff together here so you guys can keep doing with what you want. And so, black foam core, dollar store brand, whatever. Regular blue foam, everybody's favorite material. I cut it into the shape pre ahead of time.
Oh,
even
nice.
though, sorry, those of us who have winter have no
Yeah,
problem finding
those of you that have winter have access to that stuff. I keep going.
Sore subject there, buddy.
It's
Um,
not sore. It's just true.
dollar store dowel, right?
Nice.
And then the pièce de résistance is aluminum screen
You love
that
aluminum screen, that's right.
my loving puppy burst through at one point in my life.
Oh.
Now, it's important. I think one of the things to talk about with aluminum screen, because this works really well for a lot of things, it has to be not plastic screen. Now, Colin, I was messing with some stuff that you talked about, but the aluminum screen is ideal because it comes apart. And so you can pull the wires apart in it to create jaggy little things. And we use that to make that look a rebar. So this is good for rebar. And so, you know, I mean, I've got a glue gun and everything set up, but one of the main things is how to turn these little squares into something that looks pretty crud.
Right.
And so, you know, number 11 blades, I buy them in packs of 100 because foam is wicked on sharp things.
Sure is.
And then, so basically, what the approach I take with all of this is that I first of all need to create sort of like the area that is destroyed. You know, the idea about saying, well, that's what I want cut away. That's the part that's going to be missing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this way and make it like a layer cake, 3 or 4 very fine cuts. Now, this also works with anything, blue foam. And I've got a little thing that we've got time, I'll show you, because I was thinking about you or just anyone who does any of this stuff. And so effectively, so that's the part I want to have sort of disappear. And the first thing I can do is I can take off just the little fine paper layer. Now that, for someone like myself, represents like the asphalt gone, right? Like that's literally the thickness of asphalt. It, you know, and then as I go along, and I'm going to layer cake that and sort of drag the knife through it. You can't even say I did anything, but then what I can do is I can start to pick away layers, and it creates this sort of janky surface. And then I put another layer into it, and I jank away at that surface a little bit. And over time, even though I'm rushing this, you start to be able to now, you're stepping it back, not unlike you were building a hill, right? Like you're going to like keep stepping it back. But instead what you're doing is you're pulling it back along those edges. And then you have to do the same with the bottom and sort of get rid of that. And so maybe that's decent for the time being, right? So it's immediately got those layers that look like it's fractured. Now, depending upon how accurate you want to be, introducing like a series of different cracks and such along where that break is, along the foam core where it's all broken up. And then you can go back in and you could like pick out a little piece. Like you can now pull all those little bits out. Super helpful to look at what broken roads look like, because when you do it out of your head, you're wrong. Like every single time when you invent it, it doesn't work. And so the idea is that I keep picking it back like that and do all the edges. And once I've got it to something that I like, this is where the window screen that probably stuck to my sleeve and is falling on the ground now, there's a new piece, comes in. And so I'm just going to take a really thin piece of this. So again, this is just aluminum screen. I'm going to take my knife and bury it again along the layer cake to create a pretty heavy channel in there. And then for better or for worse, I'm going to try to like insert this like a sandwich into one of those layers. This is too wide. Just bear with me here. It'll either work because you're watching me, or it'll just like totally flub up.
You're under so much pressure now, man.
Exactly.
This is the big leagues. You can't mess it up in the middle of the stream. We never make mistakes on the stream ever.
Never.
Ever.
So really crudely, you know, I start to try to stick it in. Like so. And then that's where you get into it, as I sort of had mentioned, and you say, well, okay, let's see if I can get in front of them. Okay, that'll work. And you're like, okay, so now I need to pick out some of these wires.
That's so cool.
And now these kind of look like screwed up rebar and then like mess up the edge and such. So now it's got that it tore away from the
Stab.
building. And so, you know, that's sort of where you get to.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's so cool.
Very,
Right?
very cool.
Now,
So
where do
pretty
you get your
straightforward.
aluminum screen from? Is that just at the hardware store you grabbed that, Denny?
Yeah,
told
it
you
can
where he
be.
got it.
As I said, for like it'll last forever. But yeah, but it can't be the plastic. Sorry, you can use the plastic stuff, but then you don't get to pick those little wires
No,
out.
I was just gonna say that's the thing that's the major difference is you can't manipulate it as well after the fact.
Now, after you mentioned it to me this yesterday, real briefly about the fiberglass drywall tape, which you have. I spent like 8 minutes this morning and tried to make one using the drywall tape. I don't know how well it's going to show up here. It's serviceable. Like, I wouldn't put this down. It's just, it doesn't have the ability to like pull little things out of it, but it was okay. Like, you can do something with that. Like, it looks okay. The aluminum screen works
looks
a
good
little
to me.
better. Right?
Yeah, I think the aluminum screen is it's definitely the ability to manipulate it makes it a win in my book.
And so, you know, once I've got those sort of all finished, and let's say I've got the other edge all done, because I'm going to try to, you know, create these sort of fallen piers. I've just got some laminated cardboard box, just a couple pieces of whatever, and, you know, put those onto the side to create the guardrail. Again, at this particular scale, that's a millimeter thick. That's 6 inches of concrete, right? If I make it so it's pretty quick. So the problem is, it's really hard to do gross oversized details at this size. At the same time, it's really easy to get like the thickness you need fast because you're not fussing. And then, so between like the little pier holding up pieces, right? And then sticking some dowels underneath of it, it eventually gets you to, you know, this sort of look. So in this particular part, this is the naked, unpainted, just put it all together. And I really quickly over here, just put a gray concrete paint on it and just put a little bit of asphalt colored paint on it. And it doesn't really need to be all that accurate because it's just the tonality differences. And so that sort of gets you to like the building part of it, which it looks pretty convincing. And I think that's pretty similar between the two crafts.
I think
the one thing I would say that I do a little bit differently is that I invested in a liter of flat concrete colored paint. This is over a year old, and this is what I use for everything. Flat paint takes washes and stains super good, right? So anytime you've got anything, any paint with a satin sheen or any of the mini paints, unless they're dead flat, they're going to repel some fluid. Whereas the flat paint, like nobody paints their house in this because you'll just, like your kids.
They do in apartments.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. So that you can pay the deposit when you move out.
Yeah, that's right.
But it works really well on stuff like this.
Denny, can you bring the broken pieces up to the camera closer? They want to see it in the chat.
Okay, so let's start with, let's see if so that is what I just did like that. That mesh should be in a little bit more, but this where I could like screw up the individual wires. Let's put it where it's black. I'll figure this out in a minute. Why is
that's
the
good.
There, right? So you go
I'm
from
just going to run and get a piece of foam core.
yep.
Good.
And so that's just real fast. And so then
That could
what
be
happens,
great for like a Warhammer.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
thing.
100%. Like that Warhammer, that rebar and concrete layer and deconstruction that you're talking about, Danny, is perfect. Like I can look at all those things. I was thinking, what would be a cool build for that is like speed build some like barricades, just like some little concrete barricades that have some like bullet holes and like damage to them with some like twisted rebar, just like little quick scatter that you could build and assemble those very, very quickly within just an hour. And then you throw that paint on them you're talking about with a little bit of weathering on it and like that thing's done. It's such, that little wire mesh is such a clutch way to incorporate that realism and that feel of that concrete that you create. It's really
I had done as a little test some little broken down walls.
There it is.
Look
at that.
And Exact same approach. The idea of cutting the layer cake, flicking the walls away, sandwiching a bit of that stuff in there, and like that's effectively the build for none money, right? Like there's no cost to that.
Warhammer 40K Epic Scale uses 10mm figures, so there you go.
Okay, so that's exactly N. So though, I think
And
probably the
Gaslands, yeah.
What's that?
Gaslands scenery also could work.
Oh yeah, Gaslands. So those, so a Matchbox car is probably roughly like 1:87, which is HO scale. This still works. So it's twice the size of this, but it's still like in the realm of that scaled look. It still works okay.
Denny, you threw a term out. HO, is that another scale size for railroad?
Yeah, that's the most popular train scale. It's 1:87.
1:87. Okay.
Yeah,
that is a lot of the model railroad lamps and stuff that I buy for my train is what I'll use.
Yeah, if any hobby shop carries 2 trains, it'll all be that. That is the most popular, right? Because it's big enough you can see it, small enough you can fit it in your basement, affordable enough. Everything else is into like fringe stuff. So once I've got, so on this little example piece then, so we start, I think it is that the camera goes backwards. I can't get used to this. So that's just a quick example if I put it in.
Move it to your left.
Okay,
there you go.
So I have put just a real couple different, so I've put a concrete colored paint on it. And then whatever that asphalt color is, I just literally mixed a bit of gray paint to make asphalt, like whatever, right? One of the things that is definitely a little bit different is that in terms of washes, I use a lot of isopropyl alcohol mixed with India ink.
Now, why that formula?
I don't know, because that was what I learned. Like that's the formula. That's what you use. And India ink stains everything forever.
Maybe that's the form. That's the why. It just stains really well.
Well, and isopropyl alcohol has no surface tension to speak of. So it doesn't sit on top of a model. It totally seeps into it and gets into the cracks. So that's where it sort of brings things up and elevates it. On this particular thing, I think probably the most important step next would be to quickly give those rebars a coat of paint to rust them up. And, I am 100% envious of the paint collections that I have seen with every single crafter that you've ever had on this stream.
Wait, say that again? You are...
Like, envious of your paint collections. Because I buy discounted tube acrylics from Michaels, and I use those to paint everything.
What's wrong with that? That's perfect.
Well, nothing, but like you've got these amazing colors with these amazing names that are. I'm like, oh, that must.
I mean,
be
you
nice
could still buy craft paint.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, all of those paints. I mean, mixing the colors and stuff is. It's just easier to not have to mix, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I see where you're coming from also, Denny, because also an art student, they teach you don't need any of the fancy things. You mix your own colors. You start with
that's true.
Red, yellow, blue.
Right. 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 yellows,
Make
2 whites, and you're not allowed black or you're a failure.
Make your own black.
Make your own black.
How would you make black?
All the colors.
Just all the colors. Does that not just turn brown?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Well, you see, that's the thing. Nothing's white and nothing's black. The only thing that's white is reflected light. The only thing that's black is things you can't see. And so it matters when you're painting a portrait. It works a little less on real life.
No.
I'm going to try today. I pulled up my crafting cam here so you guys can see. I got a big head start, and what I started to last night was play around with this idea of the different layers of that kind of that damaged peel away look. And I didn't really do a peel away look for these floorboards in here, but I'm going to try to do a peel away, chip away technique on this floor here. So I'm gonna try that with this as we continue moving forward and see if I can't incorporate this. Instead of using the aluminum wire mesh, I'm gonna use some not popsicle, but coffee stir sticks, and let's see if I can achieve a similar effect and feel here with that. So continue away.
Like you could also use toothpicks and break them off to be like pipes.
Yeah, that would be great too, right? I'm still trying to stay within my the D&D fantasy world. So
yeah, sure.
Some things might have pipes and stuff like that, but the toothpicks as pipe that's a great idea. I always trip out. I love when we get to see the different wires from you strip them out and then you use the shrink wrap on it to put it in a straw to give it the simulation of a frayed electrical tube with these wires sticking out. I love that technique. That's one of my favorite ones that I've seen.
Real quick, I just threw a little bit of burnt umber. I think it was burnt umber.
Yeah, it's burnt umber.
Oh yeah,
burnt umber. Just basically touch dry brush or just touch those rebars to make them rusty. And that basically that would be kind of as far as I would be taking it. Absolutely, you could put some raw sienna in there or something like that to the idea of the drippy rust. But
that's the most underused color that I have is the raw sienna.
Right? It's rust in a bucket. How could you not use that?
I don't know, because I don't make rusty things.
How could you not?
Because my rust is pure fucking orange.
Oh, yeah, that's pumpkin.
Yep.
Now I had a couple.
That's literally pumpkin. The name on here is pumpkin.
Is it?
It is.
Pumpkin.
So you might have mentioned it already, Denny, but on the road surface itself, what are you? You might have said it already, and I might have missed it. Texture.
So I haven't done any texture because at this scale, it's not as relevant.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add what you would add. So I would call scatter, you would call flock, let's say. Basically, I'm going to add some sand and stuff after the fact. The idea that, I don't know, a building exploded beside it and it's rained down particulate on it. And that sort of fixes it.
Sound like a
I'm
parrot.
going to say that was Michael's house.
That was my daughter. She's in the background.
Hey, Georgie.
Coming crashing through the door any minute here.
So, assuming that this will dry soon, I'm just going to run off camera and grab a cup of water because I've ruined way too many brushes already. I need to save even my bad ones. 2 secs here.
Do it.
I mean, that's what I did the first part of the show was restore a brush so that I could paint.
Yep.
I mean, today I'm just trying out these new little techniques. I'm not expecting that this build it might not even reach completion, but it's fun to build something. And
I'm working on my guild build. So.
I like this. Foam core technique. It's cool.
I do too. You mentioned the
Martin's
guild build
here.
there. Hey, Martin, welcome to the stream, brother. You mentioned the guild build, Zane. This is a good time to remind everyone. Next week, we've got a very special stream set up for you here on the Crazy Crafter. We are hosting the guild build, December guild build here on the stream, and we'll be joined by John Lombardi from Tabletop Witchcraft. And there's still time to submit your themes on the Bridge Ambush.
Submit.
Submit. Denny himself is going to participate and submit something. So all you have to do, if you go over to the Tabletop Crafters Facebook group, you can find the link to not only the stream but also how to submit to the Google Drive. You got to submit 3 photos, and once you submit those 3 photos, you're entered. There's no prize and no it's not a competition. It's us getting together and sharing your process, and we get to pick your brain about it, and we're really excited. Much, not unlike we're doing with Denny right now about his process. We're excited.
It's like a live, more in-depth version of the Tabletop Crafters Guild, just in a stream.
During the stream, and I don't know if you saw this earlier in the chat, Zane. Oh, I messed up. That's not square. You guys can see it, but I messed up my lines there. What else is new? And I used a ruler too. That's the problem. I used a ruler. Anyway, Elston from Elston Nation was I'd offered the other day Zane to pop in there and see if he would want me to come on his Thursday stream next week. And I was like, enter something, Elston. I was like, I'll come on the stream and we'll build it in 2 hours. And he was just like, I don't have time. And I don't know if you saw in the chat, but he was like, Zane, are you coming on the stream and building with me?
Yeah.
So,
I was like, well, I am now.
Perfect. I love it.
It's a work day, but I can make my schedule, so.
Ooh, right. Let's see if we can make it happen. All right, what are we working on now, Denny? We've got.
Oh wait, Thursday. That's the 6th.
Yes.
That's my husband's birthday, so maybe not.
Maybe not. You should probably hang out with Frankie.
Yeah.
All right.
So the last little, and I'm going to do this a couple times because it's the same approach to everything, is that in the area that's sort of painted and done up, I'm going to put this wash of rubbing alcohol and India ink into it. And what it does, it seeps into all the cracks. It's just like the wash you would use. It's not going to be as evident in something as small, but I'm just going to liberally put it into there. And it does stain everything. It runs around. It's got great penetration.
Yes.
Right?
I thought about using ink in my Mod Podge recently. I thought about that today.
So India ink, like I did some plaster for this that I'll show you in a bit. Yeah. Where I just put I tinted it with India ink. India ink's also cheap, which is part of the other reason that we use it.
We like cheap.
Like I've had this same bottle of India ink for like 2 decades. So like.
A little goes a long way, or?
Oh, like for a cup, if you did a cup of rubbing alcohol, like maybe a tablespoon of India ink would give you a deep black wash. Like don't do 1-to-1. That's still India ink. Like India ink is like arsenic, doesn't take much. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to show up. We'll see. Come on, I can do this. So it is wet, but it's hard to see. It falls into all the cracks and starts to bring out all of the little bits, just like a wash and a minifig will do. And when it dries, it's dead flat. And you can reapply it if you want. So it keeps going into it and it tints it. The concrete color that I use as a paint is pretty bright, but as soon as you wash it down, it knocks it down. It's the exact same thing with mini painting. And so that ultimately, when that sort of dries out, then I get into the last 2 steps, and it'll dry pretty quickly, which is just adding the sand. I use sand and a little bit of flock or ground foam or whatever you want to scatter or whatever sort of suits your vernacular at that point.
I like flock because you can say
I wonder
flock you.
if tile grout, have you ever used tile grout?
Yep, quite a bit. So tile grout is wonderful because its scale is quite fine. It's quite good. I have used it before. It's quite brittle. So even though you add, so like let's say you wanted to model with it and you just added water to it, it's not enough. You want to add some PVA to it or something of the sort to give it that plasticity. But absolutely, I've used that to sort of dribble down. And when I say sand, what I mean is I went out to the road and took a shovelful off the shoulder, because that's that pulverized muck and rock dust, and that's wonderful sort of sand, like works really well.
And it's free.
Yeah,
it's
free ain't bad.
So
right.
I didn't have any of that aluminium mesh that you've got there, but I do have some floristry wire, so I've just been putting like individual ones in.
Oh yeah.
Just seems to be cool. Seems to be working all right.
I like that side there.
Inks, we were talking about inks. Carl is in the chat out there. Carl, and refresh my mind, Zane and Michael. If you remember, when Carl first came on the stream, he had done inks in Mod Podge before, or PVA, hadn't he?
On PVA, yeah.
It was
he said in the chat,
inks.
inks are awesome. So
Right,
Yep.
right. I think that's. I was thinking about. I was like, oh, how come I've never done inks before? And I was just like, oh, what a cool idea. I was like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure Carl told me to do that like well over a year ago, and like I need to do that because I have a bunch of inks left over from my airbrush that is no longer working. So I'm like, what am I gonna do with these inks? Which I know they'll make some pretty good washes.
Here's the gill build so far.
Let's see. I'm not looking. Let me look.
That looks awesome, man.
Ooh, baby. Look at that.
Getting there.
Nice.
Some dry brushing.
That's looking mighty fine, buddy. That's looking mighty
So
fine.
for the question in the chat, yeah, so this is the Speedball India ink that I own from the 90s, and there's this much gone.
Oh wow.
Holy shit.
Like nobody should buy it this big. It was $6. So yes, it's heavily diluted. I mentioned it before. Diluting it 50% is still 100% pure. Like you do need to dilute it quite a bit in order to bring it down. Also, if you like on a mini, I made a test of this. If you like sealed your mini with sort of some sort of satin sheen, it'll kind of run all over the place. It will not go in the same way. So if you have sealed a mini, or if you've used an enamel-based paint on it, you're going to want to do washes with solvent-based. So like white spirits and an oil paint or something like that. You won't be able to use water-based, and alcohol's not water-based, but it's water-based. It won't work. It'll just beat up on top of it, no matter what you do.
Cerna Jr. Lewis said, any updates on the Resident Evil train?
Ooh.
Yes, it's coming. I've got. So, if anyone's wondering, I thought I would try to build a Resident Evil train diorama with a bunch of little train stations and a custom locomotive. Because I thought that why don't I try 8 different things at the same time? That seems like a reasonable approach to building anything. And so I am muddling my way through it.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Did you
I do
run
have-
to go get it?
The locomotive is effectively printed and needs to be powered, which works. I mean, hey, if you want, I'll grab the diorama.
Yeah.
As it stands right
I
now.
would love to. We'd love to see it if you want to share
Okay,
it, bud.
be right back.
How dare you show us?
How dare you show us what you're working on? All right, so here's what I wish I'd have put the sticks back further onto the bit, like, and then I could have peeled away more of the layer to see the under the scaffolding here, but kind of the same idea to just peel away the different layers and textures.
Okay.
For it. Like, I need to do that next time. Next one.
So I'm not sure how we're going to do this. So this is the under layer, which has, that's the liquor.
Dude.
I've been
awesome.
watching this, the progress of this on Instagram. It's very, very cool.
So cool.
That's the Red Queen. That is underneath the mansion, the Looking Glass mansion. And yeah, there's the liquor. And so it's a circular layout that goes through
Your
the 4
favorite.
different scenes.
Ah. That's
And then-
so cool.
Each of these scenes come out so I can model them. And so that is,
Awesome. Dude.
I am, so, and I appreciate the kind words. I rotated the freaking logo by 25 degrees. So it's actually the wrong orientation.
Oh,
The reds.
no.
So I don't know if I'm going to fix it.
Okay, make it so that like maybe it's like a piece that's like crumbling, so it shifted. I don't know.
Or yeah. So, and then with this particular project, I need to put the top on it, and then I need to put the hospital and the Looking Glass mansion on it.
Mm.
Very cool.
And you modeled those in Blender or something?
Or what was that saying?
I said, did you model those in Blender or anything, or are you just?
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're asking, so I build a lot of my structures. I build principally out of styrene, but there are details that I will take care of. In truth, I use a program called Rhino because that just is something that's extended from my work. But Blender, I could also have used to make those pieces.
Yeah.
Where did they go? So these are, this is part of the tower and the tower cap that'll go onto it. And then there's all of the windows that I need to cut out for the rest
Holy
of it.
crap. That's so cool.
See, and those rafts that you create for the windows and stuff, that directly inspired how I started printing things that when I'm doing a small scale, like these buildings that I was doing for the 10 by 10 competition that I did.
Yeah,
it just helps. Because
The
if those were
raft
just
is
built
the-
on the
is it-
plate,
yes.
go on.
Well, yeah, the raft is a standard setting out of the Cura slicer, which is what you can use for an ender. And so it automatically makes these, I don't know, 1/10 of a millimeter thick plates, so that when you go to shove a window in through a hole, you've got this little backing plate so it doesn't shove all through. It actually is like super. Like it makes, and it also hides how bad you cut your hole because it fills in from behind. So like everyone's like skilled modeler.
Skilled model.
So this is mostly dry at this point. The little bit of wash, it's hard to see here, will knock out some of the details. Like it certainly puts the cracks in a little more. Again, better lighting makes it work a little better. At this point, this would be a good time to find the white paint and just dry brush and hit the highlights. Pretty standard stuff. That's silver. I can't see in the dark.
Downsides of mood lighting.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you have your white lighting in front of you and your mood lighting in the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not very good at that stuff. I'm going to try and get better at that stuff.
Well, after I saw Sebastian on here, I said this to Colin,
And me.
and I was like, "Oh, like so, Zane, you've got a lovely setup, clearly."
Thank you.
And I'm like,
Thank
"Oh,
you.
Yep. Sebastian's upping everyone's game.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
I thank my husband for that because he's obsessed with hue lights. So
Yeah, hue lights are the shiznit. I need to
they're
get.
just expensive.
They're expensive. Yeah, I wish mine worked out here. I did get some more LED strips. I'm gonna put them behind the workbench and like do some cool stuff with that. Play around with some more contrast lighting, as Denny was referring to it earlier in the stream. Up the lighting game, up the atmosphere. Thank you, Seb. And
My
also
wallet
and
doesn't
also
say thank you.
Yeah, and also I was gonna say, and also damn you, Seb.
So again, I've hit this with a little bit of white dry brushing. It's not going to show up for you guys, I can tell, but it is looking a little like it's starting to give it that little bit of character and a little more of volume and dimension.
What is it? Let me see here. I'm missing it. What were you showing something up there, Denny? I was pouring glue down.
I just held up that I had put the wash, a little bit of highlights. It helps. Again, it's so small with a very poor webcam that this isn't going to be necessarily the thing.
It's all right. We still get the idea. Laura saying, I always love dioramas that look like one structure but can detach into separate set pieces. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm
Dollhouse style.
Yeah, what did you say? What did you say?
Dollhouse style.
Dollhouse style? Yeah, kind of. It's kind of what it.
That's
what it reminds me
another
of.
Southern Gothic Dollhouse on Instagram?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know Southern Gothic Dollhouse.
Oh my goodness.
Will my mind
Just-
be blown?
She's also on TikTok, and just some phenomenal modeling. Just
Nice.
ridiculous.
What
and
is
like
it again? What is it
twisted. I think it's Southern Gothic Dollhouse.
Southern
think.
Gothic Dollhouse. Okay.
I think I will double check because I need credit where it's due. But again,
Whoa.
twisted stuff, super cool.
Wow, that is amazing. That looks real.
Oh, like just
Did you look at it, Michael? Are you is your mind being blown?
I'm on her Instagram now, and it's just ridiculous.
it's infuriatingly good.
Say that
And
word again,
she's like-
Michael.
Sorry.
What's that?
Say
Shall I post the link?
ridiculous again.
Her stuff is ridiculously good. This
Thank you. I got my Harry Potter fix. Thank you. Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
I didn't get what you were saying.
I didn't either.
Oh man, like there's a bathtub with a. If you scroll down, there's a bathtub with a skeleton in it. Oh, and tentacles in. Coming
Tentacles.
out.
You had me at tentacles. So.
You had me at tentacles. Dude.
Okay, I'm
Well-
just gonna post a link to this in the chat
Yeah,
here.
put it there. I'm immediately regretting individual little tiny bricks, but it'll look cool once it's all done. Damn it. These are
I tend to regret
tiny.
everything once it comes to painting.
Say again.
Oh,
I said I tend to regret little details when I start painting, and I have to bring them out.
Yeah. Yup.
so the last two little bits thing we were just talking is I took enough white glue on a paintbrush to not see it, but put it on the surface of this little pier that I'm making.
Yup.
And then I just sprinkled a touch of sand
Ooh.
and just threw a little bit of flock on it.
Yep. It's already
And
taking that great shape. That looks awesome.
So now that just gives it that last little push. And so it sort of fills in the cracks that maybe didn't look right. It covers up the ills that weren't quite right. And just now it has a little more of that organic ruined look. And it's a pretty straightforward stuff. And so then, I've put together probably 15 or 20 of these and put them around the layout or supported a highway.
Man, fucking tastic.
Fucking nuts. Dude.
Second. So,
I mean,
so
I
today,
watch your stuff, and I'm just like it looks great.
Yep.
I appreciate that. Today I'm actually having a vanilla bourbon stout, incidentally.
A vanilla bourbon stout. That sounds good.
In honor of
At
the
least it's
whiskey
the
drinkers
afternoon.
up here.
Colin,
So
What?
you're a
that's
whiskey
so
drinker, right?
that
I am. I love whiskey.
I had too much of it last night.
You had just the right amount, fella.
I
That's
basically
entertaining.
like sending messages to everybody. Hey, I love you guys.
To be fair, those don't just happen when we're drinking.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's the Piers. That's part 1 of 3, we'll say, of the 3 things I wanted to sort of like maybe look at.
Okay.
So the next one I thought I would take a look at, just to motor along here, is working with plaster.
Yes.
As sort of a scatter material.
Yep.
And so I put together, I'll throw it in the Discord in a second, this little terrain base here, which has got a busted highway and some stuff.
Yep.
And that's what our little structure is going to go on that I put together. And we'll take a better look at this in a couple minutes.
Ooh.
With a little surprise for Zane and Michael in it.
Yeah. There's a surprise, boys. You don't know what it is, but I know, and I'm not saying anything.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yep.
I'm intrigued.
Well, it's a little surprise. So
But
I like surprises.
So I will just throw this terrain base into the Discord there. Okay. So one of the materials, so as part of the scatter stuff, I used an awful lot of plaster, broken up plaster as a I would call it scatter, but as a I'm going to call it scatter. To basically, yeah.
We know yeah, I know what you mean.
And so, real briefly yesterday, we were talking about plasters. And so I know that Colin has what hydrocal plaster or hydrocal plaster,
Yep.
and I have plaster of Paris. And they'll both work. And so effectively what I want to start by doing is I lay down an icing coat on top of something like aluminum foil or let's say wax paper or grease paper. And it turns out like this. Okay, this is just a razor thin coating of just plaster. I gave it 24 hours. If plaster's cold, it's not dry, even though it's hard. So wait till it's dry and sucks the moisture out of your fingertips. And then it's very fragile. I just pulled this off, this little piece, and it just breaks up really easily.
Like delicious
so,
peanut brittle, except
right, like it absorbed most of the moisture out of your mouth. Trust me there. And so I take this and I've got a little container here and just drop it in there. And I have a spoon from when the kids were young. Michael probably could have one of these around the house still. And I'm going to go at it and I'm pressing my spoon down. And what it makes for me then, let's see if I can do this, is this broken up.
Yes, the asshole.
Everything stuff. And so this is what I'm dumping all over everything in order again to make it look like crumbly and rubbly. So back with
so cool
tripod here. This
Martin,
is just
pay attention.
Dumped and piled around all over the place.
That is great.
And
yeah,
isn't anything, right? I mean, it's effective, but it's not.
We get a close up of the tripod again.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh no.
Oh no. Did he freeze?
Camera's
There
frozen.
he is. He's unfrozen.
All right, go down a bit so we can see the pod part. There we go.
It's the
Sick.
best.
So cool.
And so this is what I think this is the thing that probably Colin, you were talking about. You're like, oh, getting the buildings look broken down.
Yep.
And so there's I'm just starting with the plaster. The last thing I'll do is I'll kind of work on a little building with you. But
Cool.
the idea about this broken plaster is one of these scatter things that helped to make it look a lot more, well, destroyed basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want to do is I want to make up a bit of a base terrain with the broken asphalt using plaster in the same way. So this is an example of the plaster. And I did this one on tin foil just because it found out that wax paper is not as good. It sticks a bit too much. So, and this plaster has a bit of India ink added to it, and just like a couple drops in it, just turned out like a Payne's gray color.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. And so what I want to do is I want to create a broken or a fractured pavement highway. And so
Nice.
I've got this little train bit that I put together and just really quickly notched out some spots where like maybe it washed away or whatever. So like it's gone there. And I'll talk about how I do that in a minute because that's it's a health risk because I use chemicals. But basically what I've done is I pulled that away by melting it effectively. And so I've got this little piece of plaster, which cuts actually really easily with a hobby knife. And so what I want to do is I want to carve out an entire piece of pavement and I'm going to put it onto my little terrain piece here and build it in.
So cool.
So bear with me while
We're bearing with. If again, this is a great time to remind y'all, if you have not subscribed to N-Scale Dystopia, head on over to his YouTube channel. Follow him on N-Scale Dystopia here on YouTube, as well as Instagram at Model Railroader, so you can stay up to date on all of the awesome projects that Denny has going on.
I'll get the links
So-
going.
pretty easy. The X-Acto knife just cuts through this like it's nothing.
Wow.
And this is now like a little piece of plaster taffy or something like that.
Plaster taffy. Shake that,
So-
plaster taffy. That plaster taffy.
So this is my little 8x8 little diorama piece that I've done, and I've just real quickly delineated where I want to put the road. So I'd like the roadway to be here and something like, I don't know, like it washed out. RIP British Columbia this past month.
Wait, say that again. Like, what happened?
Oh, BC?
Yeah.
Oh, British Columbia. We've had some terrible storms. We've had incredible flooding and water damage.
Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay, where is my okay, so this I've pre-primed. I use the cement color. This would be a good time for someone to think about the colors they use, not exactly just always putting the same color down. So you might want a dirt color, anything like that. And all I'm going to do is in the area where I'm going to put this roadway, I'm just going to put some straight white glue, PVA glue, whatever you want to call it, all over that area. And I'm going to see if I can, we're going to see how magical I can get with my webcam to see if I can show this off correctly.
Get magical, magical.
Thank you, Olivia Newton Collin.
So, PVA glue all over this little piece.
Uh-huh.
Right. I'm going to put this down. Remember to wash that brush or that'll be gone. I'm going to try to very carefully peel. Oh, it's coming. Okay, good. So now I have a wafer thin piece of plaster. Oh, it broke. That's fine. Okay. And I'll flip the camera around here for you. All right, here we go. Let's see how well this works now. Okay. Well, that works okay. So there's glue on the underside there. You can see it has a little crack. So hopefully one-handed this works okay. And I'm just going to now start to, and even I can just push on it and break it all up. And just push this down into the crevices and such. I think let's just leave it, oh, sorry. About like that. So now I've got a fudged up road. Hope the camera stayed on it because I was doing two things at once. But there you have it. So that's
great.
And so that microfine plaster, and then we'll just leave that alone. And that glue will set this in. And so now I've got a messed up road.
We got a question from Martin for you, Denny.
Sure.
He said, I used broken plaster as rubble too before, but experienced it to be too prone to post-processing with paint, swashes, etc., losing its texture. Do you leave the plaster as is? No, I don't. Let me put this back up. So for this particular case, which is, this is the intermediate example that I did. So it's almost exactly the same thing as I just showed you. To the question there, I will now prime this with a solvent-based flat primer typically. And that will keep the plaster from getting, you can reactivate it, basically is the problem. As soon as you get it wet, it goes back. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I do when I'm doing my buildings is that I absolutely saturate it in super glue. And in the past, literally 20 days, I have found this to be an incredibly problematic method for me because I've been inhaling this and I started having, for the first time in my life, asthma attacks. So apparently soaking up a lot of super glue is really bad for you.
Yeah, Tina's screaming at the screen.
Right.
So I don't know you, Tina, but you're right. You shouldn't do this. That said, I did buy a 6001 organic filter for my 3M respirator, so it's fine now, so I can do it again. Best $45 I spent.
Yeah, I need to get one for things like that because we were sharing that like super glue is just gnarly on you, and it's
right.
Really useful, but yeah, 100%.
And I mean. And again, it comes from the fact that I'd always use quantities out of like a little crazy glue stick, like one little drop, you couldn't even smell it. I'm literally throwing down tablespoons full on top of this stuff. And I'm like, this is amazing. And then cannot breathe. And I'm like, honestly, my first thought, well, I've caught COVID, I'm going to die. And then suddenly, but it kept coming back. And I'm like, what's going on? And then suddenly I discovered on another forum with model plane builders who saturate balsa wood with super glue to plastify it. That they're all very used to this. I'm like, okay, so dumb guy.
They're like, welcome to the suck, bro.
Tina's triggered right now.
Oh,
She's saying, "Oh no!" She had bad reactions to it. So
I'm just gonna peek here.
So this is where I'm at with my destroyed bridge, or at least aging bridge.
Awesome,
that's
dude.
Nice.
I like the way you also carved out the river bread.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty slick, dude.
So again, once this is dried up, the glue has set. I will prime it with flat primer. Again, if you use it and there's not any sort of sheen to it, it'll then repel the inks. The other thing is that when I use the India ink on it, to the question that was in the thing, it doesn't reactivate the plaster the same way that water would do it. So a watered down paint, when you start scrubbing it with a paintbrush, will just melt it. Because I go in with the rubbing alcohol, let me see if I can do here. I'll just use this. So this is the same thing with just a coat of the India ink wash on it. And now it brings out all of those different cracks and sits in, and it didn't reactivate it. But absolutely, you scrub it with some tempera paint or something, and it's going to go downhill pretty quickly.
So if you drop it, it's fine, or drop onto it, it's fine, but don't actually touch it.
Oh my gosh, all of the little bit. If you guys need me for the next 2.5 weeks, I'll be here making these crazy bricks on the inside of this wall. It's looking good.
Oh my god, dude.
Really good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's just freaking. What's what I'm doing.
I thought it would be like 2 levels worth.
No, it's not 2 levels worth. It's 1, 2, 3. It's 4 stories. It's 4 stories.
Are you using hot glue or PVA glue? Or
I'm using PVA as well. I'm doing it crazy. I'm trying a method that I normally don't. I'm like hot glue. I don't got time for this shit, but I'm doing PVA because
I'm all about the hot glue today. Normally it's the other way around for me.
Yeah. Yep.
I only believe in hot glue.
I mean, I am working with Mr. Fahrenheit 451 over here, hot glue gun, so maybe subconsciously that's why I'm using PVA. I mean, I've used it during the stream so far and it hasn't burned me. And I'm wearing pants today, so.
Outstanding pant wearer.
Glad to hear you're wearing pants today, Colin.
Hey, you know what? Like, I was wearing shorts, by the way, when I did that. That's why I classified. I realized after I said it, I was like, I'm going to open that up, but that's all right. I'm glad Denny jumped right on in there and was like, oh, yeah, I'm taking the shot, baby. I'm taking the shot.
As I had sort of mentioned, I'm fortunate. I've spent the last 18 months working from home, only recently been back to the office. So, I mean, it's like business from, the chest up and party from the waist down.
Dang it, I have to wear pants again? No.
I mean, a life with no belt. If they could make attractive, stretchy pants for the business place for men, I would be all over that. Particularly if you could pull them up to your armpits, right? Like no split the difference. Like get them up above.
We're getting to know you really well today, Denny, and it's making me happy. I agree with you.
You know how
I'm
pants,
in that market too. I'm in that market too. Give it to me, baby.
As an owner of quite a few rompers and onesies, it's not practical. Let's put it that way.
No.
There needs to be a fly of some sorts or something.
Real quickly, one of the things I just wanted to add here. So this is the next step kind of thing. So I've done the same thing as I've done before. And this little yellow area gets painted. This is those foamy sheets you get from the craft store. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. It's very flexible stuff. Yeah. They make
Craft
shapes.
foam.
Yeah. Anyway, it takes the back end of an X-Acto knife really well. So rather than cut it, you can score it. And it's not forgiving. But I have found for the time being, it's an inexpensive way to create sidewalks and curbs and such. So I've just run, I don't know if it's going to show up. Yeah. I've just run the back end of the X-Acto knife along it and automatically made a curbside and then defined the sidewalk. And then if I come back in with the X-Acto on the back side,
I mean, dude, that'll come in handy with my stuff, with
That's
my
so
Victorian.
cool.
right?
That's so
Now,
cool.
but it's not forgiving. So you take your fingernail and you put a stroke in it. I mean, like, that's that. You don't get to bring it back out.
No redo on that one.
No. So again, it works nicely because it's also, for me, it's like 2 millimeters thick, so it's a foot. So it's about the height of a curve. So it's nice stuff. Again, it's totally affordable and it's cheap.
Tina said it's EVA foam and it takes rollers very well. Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Guys, I just had a brilliant idea to expedite my process here. Kind of going on.
Get Danny.
Get Denny to do it. Well, it's so funny you're saying, like, I don't know if you guys can, I mean, you're seeing it here. I got all excited. So instead of just doing the bricks, thinking about these different layers that Denny's creating with the kind of varying stages of destruction, I'm taking the coffee stir sticks and then layering those on the wall as well. So it's like that's the base layer of the support where the bricks aren't even there anymore. So now I'll be able to layer in those planks, and I won't have to do bricks for the entire thing, but just little sections of it, which will be cool. And then I'll like curve the bricks like around these areas. I think it's gonna look cool. I'm really excited. So good. There you go, Denny. Inspiring me on the fly here with everything that you have been mentioning to us so far.
Well, texture impresses, right? The more texture you add to something, the more it looks credible. A little bit of a visual feast, I say.
Yep.
Just because I don't know if I know this Tina person, but she sounds like a cool person.
She's a very cool.
Awesome.
She's a very cool person. I also think that she's one of the best crafters we all know. Like,
Okay, so-
if not the best crafter.
So I'm going to show her something else you can yell at me for then.
Good.
So this product here is Goof Off. It's important to point out
What are
that
you
it's
doing?
got-
I'm just goofing off.
I'm goofing off.
it's flammable and so you shouldn't vape this.
Oh, you heard about that?
I watched that. Yes, I heard about that.
I like that that's a well-known thing now. That makes me happy.
So- If you take some of your regular foam and you're going to want to watch, because this is awesome. Oh, I'll do like a full camera thing. So instant craters. Here's the foam.
Oh snap!
Oh, that's really fast.
So it's like
That's
acetone.
amazing. Yeah,
Way faster than
exactly like
acetone.
Yeah, it's a lot like acetone.
But
And so-
much faster.
Yeah, it's probably terrible.
You just
But
see a
also
cloud
super
of death.
satisfying.
Very cool.
So again,
Goofball.
that's now a pothole that if I want to put
Listen.
the plaster over top of it or any sort of bedding, now I've got a perfect little pothole that's been eaten out of it.
Very cool.
Nice.
Gonna write that down. I wonder if we get that over here.
Tina,
Yeah, what's-
you made Tina curse, so I had to approve it in the chat. She said, "Oh shit."
So it is a combination of acetone xylene and methanol.
Oh my gosh.
So
I love meth.
you can get
And
drunk
all.
on it
No.
and blind.
Oh, cool.
Or both at the same time. Blind drunk.
Yeah.
It also works really well for transferring photocopies.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Oh,
Please tell me you
actually-
were wearing your respirator when you did this stuff right now.
I know what you mean. You mean like transferring the image onto wood or something?
Yeah. So-
I wanted to do that, and I tried it with nail polish, and it didn't work.
It's because nail polish is like junior level poison. You need like things that you're not supposed to be able to buy level.
We need to
poison.
check your ID.
Yeah. It's like bullets.
Are you planning to make a bomb today?
I don't have a.
So Carl said liquid polystyrene cement does the same. Not sure if it's any safer though.
This stuff.
Right.
He's got you covered, Carl.
And
Yep.
Carl, in a pinch, this will bind styrene just fine. Like I ran out of my glue, and this works just as well.
Oh my god.
Okay, that's a good question, Carl. He said, "What is that stuff made for originally?"
Removing graffiti.
Hmm.
Like, when you buy a vase and the sticker they put on the bottom is like a security tag and you can't get it off, it'll take that sticker off. It'll also cloud some plastics so that if you have, let's say, glazing inside of a window, you can put it on and it'll immediately turn a clear plastic cloudy to make it look like it's been soaped or old. It takes off marker, it takes off spray paint, takes out life.
You sound like one of the cute. You sound like one of the home shopping. It'll do this. It'll do that.
Right?
Make Julian fries.
Laura said it reminds her of the acid blood in the Alien movies.
Oh.
Yeah. It's definitely an acidic reaction. Yep.
Like, look at this. Like, I don't have a reason for that, but like,
It's
Come on.
amazing. I don't have a reason for that. Not yet.
and
If
now
you
that it's
encounter
dry,
a bunch
those are
of
like,
cess-
now they're just like little bowling ball holes now. Okay.
He says that, and then the fingertips start melting away.
He's like, oh, I'm melting. What a world. What a world.
All right. So going back, one of the other things. So this is probably the one thing that I wanted to sort of talk about was using water and PVA glue to hold down scatter, because I don't see a lot of this technique being used.
Literally what I'm about doing right now.
Okay, so you're going to do it right anyway, but I'm going to show you another right way to do this.
Don't assume. Don't assume.
I'm really not sure I'm going to do it.
So I'm going to put, on this little incomplete piece that I've got here. Come on, Michael. There we go. Not you. I'm also Michael.
Yeah.
But so for this, I'm going to do two types of, I'm going to put down a scatter. I'm going to put down some coarse bushes, and I'm going to put down just some misted on stuff. So, and this is the same approach I use for a lot of stuff. I'm just going to quickly dab on where I want to put some coarser bushes.
So this is the stuff you're putting down with the dropper in your videos.
Yeah, that I'm going to. So first of all, I've just put down just straight up white glue. Okay. And I've got a bin of ground foam here. This is my regular foaming area. And I'm just going to like smooch some of that ground foam on. And you can see now that that ground foam is like worked into some spots. So that's kind of like bushes. Okay. That's one. Real quick. All right. Okay. So that is just stuck onto some regular.
I mean, it
white
seems to be quite forgiving scale to a certain degree.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like, because you don't get as much detail, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's at a scale where using, let's say, static grass kind of doesn't work, because it would be like 14 feet tall. Yes.
This scale is super forgiving because
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Like,
what
it
is that?
looks
1 to
detailed.
500?
Yeah, I don't even know. I said tiny, yes.
So I've got, so that is like my main bushes down. So here's my little sifter thing. And this is literally full of the stuff that I dug off the side of the road, like in the shoulder.
Awesome.
And then let's see if I can get this angle right. And I'm just going to give it a bit of a, so I've just sprinkled that all on. Okay. And either using your fingertip or a paintbrush or whatever you want, you can kind of move it around. So with this particular example here, I've just sort of like shoved it around a little bit with my finger. So it's just not all on it, but it now, like, it sort of builds up into the different areas where it needs to be. At this point, maybe a little bit of Salt Bay, bit more of that ground foam. Exactly. So
It's the
hardly anything there. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned now, that's sort of scattered. So this, I just need to go get a spray bottle here. Where did I put it? There it is. So this is the significant difference that I don't see a lot of people using, totally respectfully, within the communities that I'm seeing here on trying to affix their scatter. So I've got a squirt bottle here. This was for animal hot spots at one point in time because my poor dog was itchy. And so what's in here is just regular tap water and 1 drop of detergent, wash up liquid or dish soap. That just breaks up the surface tension of the water. Okay, and so it's a really fine mist of water that comes out, and you don't want to sit there and hold it 4 inches away and just like beat this to hell. You basically need to rain this down gently on top of it, which I can't do. I'm not doing with the laptop, but I'll basically get this up. I just have to see if it's wet.
Yeah, Michael, you're not blurry anymore.
Hey.
Okay, that'll be good enough for now. All right, and then I just have to get my eyedropper. 2 seconds. I'm more prepared than it looks like, but at the same time, I got to go get my eyedropper out of the sink. 1 second.
go get it.
No worries.
You're doing fantastic, my friend.
Anyways, Michael, so in the chat they were saying you're blurry, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, to be fair, he was quite drunk early this morning. I'm sure he feels a bit blurry too.
I mean, it has taken the best part of the day to feel reasonably back to normal. And during the stream, my friend has been texting me and he's like, do you want to go for a pint?
Oh my god.
And the answer is yes. I do. Just because New Year, be nice, I'm going to do something, but I'm going to be very kind to myself this evening. The hair of the dog will help kind of make me feel back to normal. And I get a sleep in tomorrow.
Yay.
It's great.
Sleeping in.
That didn't help this morning, was it? It was my turn to do the early morning shift.
Oh. Mary was a
You
gem
survived.
and put Ben to sleep last night. Normally I have the night shift and I put the kiddo to bed, but last night I had the night off.
The night shift usually too with my husband. He has the morning shift.
He's got the morning shift. It's got the morning shift.
He gets to wake me up so that we can swap cars.
Okay.
Uh-oh. What happened?
There. Oh.
We lost Michael.
He said, I got that pint
He
right
said,
now.
I'm going to go get the pint. Jeez.
So, should I wait for Dear Michael to return to us?
No, keep going.
Okay. So, because it's been saturated with that wet water, right? So that breaks up the surface tension. Everything here is actually damp. So if I take, this is diluted white glue, which is like 5 or 6 to 1. As soon as you put a drop on, it automatically just spreads and soaks into everything. So you've probably seen it before where it beads up because it's not wet, but because this is all wet now, you can just go all over the entire thing and it will soak in everything. Now, it'll be frightening when you're done because the entire thing will look like a white mess. But as this sort of, and then if it starts to pool up, you can spray with more wet water. It soaks in, and then in 24 hours, this is rock hard and everything's in its place. So rather than trying to use the paintbrush, which I've seen many times, like even where this ridiculous little bits is stuck on the up here, you get gentle enough and it'll just leave it all where it is and it'll all affix it. And then you leave it alone. It'll wick up inside of all the ground foam. All of the ground foam will be hard to the touch, like you can kick it with your finger. And it seems to be a really clean way of then putting all the scatter down at once. You can drop your textures on, you can put your little twigs down, you can put your oregano leaves, a bit of ground foam, put the gravel on, soak the whole thing down, and then gently eye drop it and you're done. The whole thing's down.
Nice.
I'm learning so much. Because like how I do block is I just make sure it's on there. I put glue down.
Yep.
Salt bathe it, and then let that dry, and then I just take a varnish and go over it.
Oh, like an aerosol varnish?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so if you, and that works too, of course, unless of course you get too close to it, then you blow it all off the model.
Right. I'm also lazy, so.
Well, I don't feel like that technique looked unlazy. I think that was. All right, 2 seconds, sir.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity to if anyone, you guys have been you've had the questions flowing, but it's a great opportunity. If you've got any other questions for Denny while he's here on the stream with us, don't hesitate. Drop it in the chat. Drop it in the chat. What are we working on next there, Denny?
Okay, so the last little thing, because what are we doing for time here? I've lost track.
We've got about, that's easy to do, right? We've got about 10 minutes left. We've got about 10 minutes. It goes quickly. It goes quickly, my friend.
Okay. So then that's a lot of what I'll maybe I'll do is I just talk about some materials for a second. The last thing I'll do, I'm just going to chuck a picture into the Discord. What I did was I did put together a little structure today.
Okay.
And I did this yesterday for this particular this session, and there's not a lot that we can get to, but
I love the fire escapes.
I did in this particular structure in the Discord include Zane, Michael, and Colin in it. I was able to put them.
No fucking way.
If you go to the Discord,
we got put into a bill, dude.
Oh,
isn't that cool?
My heart.
if you take a look at the Discord, it shows up a bit better. But I guess maybe the thing that when I was talking to Colin was not a lot of people use sheet styrene to do a lot of the building, which is something I use almost exclusively.
Love it.
Zane is sitting because he's grumpy because it's early. But dear God, painting beards is a pain. Like that is not.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm sorry I've sort of lost track of time. But anyway, so sheet styrene is a material that I use a lot of. It's inexpensive. It's really, really a decent building material, and it works well, as was mentioned before, with effectively a welding cement. So what it does is that you hold two pieces together, apply a little bit of cement, and it wicks into the joint and welds it. So it's quite strong. So everything that I build is using sheets of styrene. It's inexpensive at end scale. Probably at 28 millimeters, you'd find it a little more prohibitive because it is rather expensive. The beauty, and I'm using 6 thou or 1.5 millimeter, which is perfect for different sort of walls. Oh, there he is.
Hello. Sorry.
I just fixed it all. Stand by.
Sorry, man.
You're all good, brother. You're all good. The joys
yes.
of...
I am the one on the sofa because I was grumpy the other morning.
Not grumpy, just not impressed.
They don't get the inside joke. So we had a early morning conversation the other day, and it was like 20 degrees out, and I don't like being cold, and I'm not a morning person, and so I sent a picture of me bundled up and just glaring. So
I mean, it looked
on my way to work.
It looked absolutely freezing, my friend.
It's great. I love it here. Can't wait to move back to Florida.
How cold was it?
I want to say it was like 27 degrees Fahrenheit.
So minus
like
5?
Maybe. Let me do a conversion here. 27 Fahrenheit to Celsius. Minus 2.7.
Oh my god.
That's cold, eh?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's colder than California. I'll say that.
Southern
Oh,
California?
that's true.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we also have the wind chill with Lake Michigan right there, so.
That's true. Chicago is one of the coldest places I've been to. When you're in the city and you can hear the wind howling between the buildings, I'm like, what am I doing here right now? I don't want to be here. It's so cold.
So
It's
where I
very
live
pretty,
right
though.
now, it's about a 3-minute drive to the lake. But where we're moving to in February, we're like on the lake almost. Like it's pretty damn close. So it's going to be even colder, and I'm not thrilled. But about that, everything else I'm thrilled. But yes, Lake Michigan is like crystal blue. Like it's very pretty. Like if you didn't know you were in the north or northern United States, you would think that you were in the tropics. Like it is pretty.
That's nice.
So, because I'm used to Jacksonville, Florida, where the river is as dark as coffee, and there's a Maxwell House coffee factory there, but you don't want to even touch the water because it's gross. So,
Gross.
Swamp Town.
It sounded like Michael was talking about something as I arrived in. What did I miss? What did I miss? Anything or?
So
He showed us where we are in our booth.
Oh yeah, and Michael missed that. We got to bring it back.
What did I miss?
We've been immortalized.
Oh, I missed the thing that's been immortalized.
Yep. We'll have to show when he gets to a spot to show us.
So again, sort of ridiculous for letting time get ahead with me. So yeah, what I had done, Michael, is that I basically said that I had put together a little structure using styrene that I was going to sort of speak to about how I assembled it. And maybe, let's see if this will work.
Here it is,
there
Michael.
you go, Michael.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right. So we've got Zane, Colin, and Michael, and I tried my best to get your T-shirt. My camera won't focus. It's in the Discord server. So Grumpy Zane's on the couch.
Grumpy Zane.
We got to get some close-up photos of that, please.
It's in the Discord.
I took a couple and put them in the Discord. So
Awesome.
this entire structure is made using sheet styrene, which is this stuff here. And so effectively, measuring it to size, this is a ruler, Colin.
What?
This is
Booted
called
up
a
the stream.
ruler?
What? That was it. It was a great time. Thanks for coming on, Denny. We'll wrap up now. You bastard. But true. But accurate.
And so, basically with styrene, it's great because what it does is it is a score and snap material. And so if you take any sort of piece of styrene and you give it just a decent score, like so, and give it a bend, it automatically snaps with a square brick. It's really straightforward to design a bunch of wall panels and start assembling them. And then they glue together using a weld bond. Now, I feel like everyone is frozen.
No, I'm here.
Your connection seems to be a little jumpy.
Okay. Could be because the kids are now streaming.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
the kids are streaming now too.
How many
Well,
kids do you have?
I have two daughters. I have they're 19 and 16.
Ah.
So, I mean, when I say streaming, I don't mean they're hosting a stream. I mean they're watching them.
You've been through it all now.
How come they're not watching their dad be badass on this stream? That's what they should be watching.
They are proud of me to bring their friends over, but like, so they'll come over like, you guys see what my dad did? And like, it's a Ghostbusters thing. And their kids are like, man, this is dope. But in terms of like day to day, they're kind of like, just go to the basement.
Yeah, that's cool, Dad. Bye.
I can't wait to. I mean, I feel like it's already happening to a degree with my son who's 5. But like, I can't wait. I'm like, hey Ben, do you want? He's like, no, I don't. Go to the garage and stream, Dad. I'm like, oh. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Too funny.
So I'm gonna try to hurry up and do an hour's worth of stuff in 8 seconds.
You can do it. We believe in you. Check that shit out. Look at that, boys. That's pretty cool. I like that. Oh God, where am I trying?
Yay,
to
a wall.
show you guys there? A wall, right? I built a
That's
wall
good,
on
though.
the stream. Yay.
See, you could have lied and said that you had just started during
I
the
should have
beginning of
never
the
showed
series.
any of this and been like, look where I got to, everyone. People would have been like, lies. They would have known.
Okay,
Oh man.
so I'm gonna risk my life for you guys.
Do it,
So
but don't really do it.
let's pretend in make-believe land, this is the building that I didn't build today. That started out like this. So now it's all done. And so I've got this little structure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these plaster bits, then and basically scoop on some. Now, one of the things that I've done here is I've put this piece of printer paper under it for a good reason. And we're going to call that good. The reason is that I'm going to soak this with super glue right onto the paper so that the final structure is not only the model, but this natural looking protrusion. Give it 20 minutes and then go back and trim all the paper off so that I've got the base of it sort of hanging out. And so, so for Tina, yeah, this stuff is, oh, 2 seconds. I'm gonna black the camera.
Tina, earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
So basically, the super glue, right? So that is, so leave that for 20 minutes. That is now a rock hard thing. I'm going to get rid of this because I'll have an asthma attack
Oh,
because planning.
Buddy.
Oh no, this is good.
We're giving Denny asthma attacks. Come on the stream, get a free asthma attack, everyone.
Denny's first and last appearance on the Crazy Crafter Livestream.
Took a couple years off his life. That's all. Worth it.
And so then, once I've scattered it
Yeah.
That's awesome.
and stained it and highlighted it, this is where I get these sort of built-in structures. So you can see it's just all part of the bottom of the model. That's where the paper fused with the model. So now I've got this standalone little, I guess you guys would call it scatter terrain, where you could just put it down on the board and say, look, you know, there's a dead Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. But now this is completely fused to the building.
Yep.
So again, this is a styrene structure. There's the 4 Ghostbusters. And so now that's how basically, that was what I wanted to get to at this point, was to say, so the cracked plaster with styrene structure, but you could still put that anywhere or anything else that worked. The styrene with the super glue works really well. Like, it is super strong,
Wow.
like indestructible stuff.
And
Hey,
what
it was
super
whenever-
glue is that?
Give me 5 seconds with it.
Earlier on in the stream, before you started talking about super glue, that was going to be one of my questions, was about the durability of all of this stuff. And then as soon as you said, and then I just cover it in super glue, I was just like, ah.
You're like, that's why that works.
Yes.
Yep.
Right. As I said, though, the repeated PSA is that I now have a proper filter to wear when I do that, because it
Right.
is very bad for you.
Yeah. Make sure you exercise all the precautions out there when you are crafting, and that, like what Denny said, was like $45 investment for that respirator and that filter, like worth it. I need to get mine too.
Michael, why are you beating your terrain with a cracked spoon?
Because I am applying
Dude.
grout and scatter.
That looks good, man. I really like that. Was that what did you build that out of, Michael? I know you said earlier in the stream, but I've forgotten.
It's 2mm thick, just card.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Perfect.
And then
Like that
and
board.
then I was gonna do the platforms in the same, and then I changed because Denny showed us. So that's foam core and then wire
No.
for rebar.
Nice.
You were like the most successful one here. Like, you made the thing that I didn't. Good.
In the completely wrong scale.
Well, no, there's
Tina says, styrene rods, how do you bend it? Question mark.
Styrene. How you bend styrene rods? You can try hot water.
Hot water.
You can try hot water. Flame works. It requires skill. Yeah,
So
you
the
can't
elements.
bend tubes. Styrene tubes don't bend unless you put something in it. Like a spring. Don't bother with that. But absolutely solid styrene, you can do it. You can even if you wanted to make a curved piece and you set this between 2 pieces of dowel and heat gunned it, you could get it to shrink. Truthfully, with this particular piece here, so long as I don't score it, I should be able to start to bend it and warp it.
That's cool.
Martin Jamatra, he uses those styrene things quite a lot, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's just styrene board.
And this is thick. Like, the down much thinner than forgiving.
Look at that. Getting that good bend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Getting
So
that sweet
and if it's-
bend.
right, it has back.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at the photos of us in the terrain. Amazing.
So cool.
It's so epic.
So,
Grumpy Zane is my favorite. Grumpy Zane's my favorite. Oh,
it's not my husband's favorite, trust me.
So, I mean, I guess as a little final then, for the thing that, the guild thing that I'll try to figure out how to do.
Yeah. Easy peasy. All you got to do is take pictures and upload them to a specific link to a Google Drive, Danny, and I'll send you that. It's very easy. Look at that.
Right? And then
Awesome.
the bridge will go in like there. Pardon for the lighting.
Yeah, it's all right.
And then the last little part is I will add in this guy stalking the 3 crafters.
I love it. We're oblivious.
Oh, so
to this
we're
dystopian
the
one.
guild build.
That's
Yeah,
that's
you are-
John that's John Lombardi.
Oh, that'll be great. He's gonna be like, "Where am I at?" And then Michael, that'll be your cue to say, "Well, you're the monster. There you are."
Right?
It's
Yeah.
Can't you
Ginger
see
beards are
this?
not easy to paint.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, you did a fantastic job painting them all up. They look fantastic,
Absolutely
and
awesome.
I was so excited when he showed me the other day, boys. I was like, ah, and he's like, don't say anything. I was like, oh, I won't. I'll let that be.
That's the
be
best.
reveal.
I kind of
Gift
I'm
of
just wondering
2022.
which one of us gets to. Who are you sending it to?
I'm closest.
Listen, you guys can fight amongst yourself. You're welcome to it.
I'm closest.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
We'll have to have 1 month off and 1 month on.
It's like when
A
you
tour
take
of
the
the build.
hamster home from school.
Yeah.
Well,
I
But,
did that
yeah,
once. My mom hated it.
this is it is a rare treat to be immortalized in a piece of terrain. I don't think I've been immortalized in a piece of terrain yet. That was
You are
that
now.
was
Won't
number
be able
one.
to say that
I am
again.
now. I'll know. I am now. That is absolutely phenomenal, Denny. What a cool treat, and I cannot wait to share that with everyone in the community and for everyone to check that out. That's super cool. And thank you for coming on the stream today and hanging out with us and sharing a little bit of your process and how you go about building terrain. And I think all of these three major components that you've shared today are applicable, like you said, not just for model railroading, but for any form of crafting that you do. It's absolutely epic.
I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
we finally got you on.
Yep.
It was a
Absolutely.
riot. Thank you so much. I mean, it also went really fast. Like I figured this was like gonna drag.
Oh,
No.
Thanks.
no
by
no
the way.
makeup required.
I mean, it never fails, Denny. That's the way it always goes. That's why I started my build last night, and I was just like, get it to a place where I can try to at least do some of that layered ruin technique that you're sharing with us, and otherwise, it goes by quick. It goes by quick when you're hanging out and hobbying with cool folks. So.
Real quick, there was a question.
Let's
Did Denny
answer it.
did Denny 3D print you guys? So were the figures 3D printed?
No, my printer wouldn't be able to do that. You guys are from wish.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
Snap. What's wish.com? I don't think I've heard of wish.com.
Well, now you're gonna start getting ads on your phone.
Oh, snap.
Right. 50 of you are worth about $4.99. So like,
Oh.
and they're pretty garbage. Like they're pretty bad. So they need a paint job.
I mean, it's accurate. It's an accurate description and a parallel to the real life individuals. Then we're garbage.
$4.99 will get you a lot.
Wait
Plus
a
shipping.
minute. Wait a minute. Well, those are super cool. So, wish.com. I'm gonna have to check wish.com out. I've never seen it. Not sponsored.
What?
But
I thought you were joking.
You don't
I've
have to
never
be
heard of
sponsored
it.
to Wish,
I've
dude.
never heard of it.
That's where I get my cheap flower tufts when I don't feel like making them.
Colin, are you
Okay.
being serious?
He's
I'm
being
serious.
serious.
I've never heard of wish.com.
What the fuck
Okay.
have you been?
I'm serious. I've never heard of it. You guys.
it's like AliExpress and those kind of things.
Like,
I have no idea
Do you
what
know-
AliExpress is either.
Oh my! Chinese resellers selling bulk things for really cheap.
Yeah.
That's okay.
See?
When I got my model railroad stuff, yes, there's tons of it on there. It's not the best
Yeah.
quality, but
No.
you get bulk and you can retouch it. But that's where I buy, like I said, my tufts, my lights, all that stuff. You can get LEDs. Yeah.
I love
You
the
wait-
fact that you're blown. You're like
You
blown.
wait-
You're like, what?
You wait for shipping because it's coming from China, but sometimes they'll have local distributors.
Distributors. That's cool. Local
I have a wish
distribution.
purchase.
I love the fact that you guys are just like, everyone out there's like, how has he never heard of this? I'm like,
I literally thought you were joking.
This
No,
is
no way.
50 or 100 N scale cars. For
Oh wow.
$15.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Nice.
Like,
You know what? I'm pretty keen to try out a proper little N scale diorama now. So many cool little techniques.
and- yeah, like Colin, like you can get a bag of 100 trees for $14.
Oh man.
Like,
Wish
it's
that-
probably got melamine in it.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's okay. I mean,
It was definitely packed with asbestos, but
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's it's covered with child labor and tears.
Well, now I'm not excited to
Right,
buy it.
now
I
he's
don't want to
done.
buy it now. Oh my gosh. On
He went
that
from
note
sold
of child
to-
labor and tears, if you haven't done so already, thank you for tuning in with us here today. But be sure to head on over to Inscale Dystopia and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Follow him on Instagram at Model Railroader. And as always, these fine lads that join me every week, be sure to follow them and on all their respective social medias, from YouTube to Instagram, as well as the Crazy Crafter as well. We had a blast hanging out with you, Denny, and as we like to say to all of our folks that have come on here for the first time, it was a fantastic first time, but certainly not the last time we will get to hang out with you on this stream. We look forward to having you back again someday here pretty soon in the near future, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
New Year 2023.
New Year. Yeah, no,
Right?
no. It's what a great way to kick off our new year, and thank you all for joining us for the new year. Hungover, refreshed, whatever state you may have been in for the stream this morning. Thank you for tuning in, Michael and Zane. Always a joy and a pleasure hanging out with you fine gentlemen. And if you are still interested, right, be sure to get those bridge ambushes built and submitted in time for the December Guild Build stream, which will be here next week. We'll be hanging out with the monster in the build, John Lombardi, and we're looking forward to that. That'll be a blast. So we're looking forward to hanging out and checking out all of your work. It'll be a blast. Michael or Zane, you guys got anything to plug this week as you're moving forward? Is there anything you wanna throw out there to the worlds?
Do the guild build.
If
I manage to get my build finished by Saturday next week, it will be my video next week.
Nice, you will.
Yeah, see, you were
get it
smart and
finished.
film stuff. I didn't.
I didn't film it either. I'm kind of wishing I'd have filmed this, but I may do something other. I may do something focused on these like layered wall technique and kind of like the deconstruction that Denny was focused on. I love how my wall came out. It's looking pretty cool.
It looks great.
Digging it. It does. Individual bricks are pain in the butt. Anything individual and like single things one at a time is always like a pain, but man, does it look good, and it adds to all that detail. Michael,
You
that
guys
looks
took it
absolutely
to
cool.
Warhammer.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't
That
take
is
it to war. This could be either. You could do this in.
I mean, it can, but I'm saying like classically Warhammer. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you
that's-
got your sight lines and
Yeah.
You see,
Yep.
just before Christmas, Dave from MS Paints did a video with pizza boxes.
Yeah, the pizza boxes and the flour. He used flour as his texture. It was awesome.
It's effectively what I've just basically kind of done the same thing, but with tile grout, because Tina likes tile grout, so I've started to use that a little bit.
That delicious tile ground. All right, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in. We look forward to hanging out with you this week when I'm streaming. So I'll be streaming this week. Ben's back at school, so Daddy gonna stream. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll dedicate one show this week. I want to put it just to the Discord and gathering, like going back through Discord. I will have to go back in time just to check out all the awesome builds and we get to catch up on all the awesome stuff you guys have been posting in the Crazy Crafter Discord. All right, y'all. Happy New Year from all of us here at the Crazy Crafter. Until the next time, be sure to craft your passion daily, and we'll see you later in the week. Happy 2022, y'all. Good riddance, 2021.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Boom!